Guys, it is week 3 of GWA Season 2. I am Aaron, coach of your Sacramento Slackings, and this week I'm going up against Obscured, coach of the Lucky Lucarios. Before we get into this match, I just wanted to maybe take a minute to talk about kind of what's been going on with the uploads and all that kind of stuff. I did recently just become a father, so I've been pretty busy. I haven't been able to do the live commentary as the game is going, just because sometimes I got a baby crying in the background, and I don't want to subject everyone to that. So I'm trying to do these post-coms as time permits, but honestly, a lot of this content that I'm currently doing is about 3 weeks out, so I do apologize for that, and I'm going to do my best to try and get on a consistent upload schedule as I work through my backlog right now. But honestly, these videos have gotten a lot more attention than I was expecting. Some of my videos have like 100+ views, and to me that's insane because honestly I just do this for fun. I join these draft leagues because I find the game fun, and yeah, the fact that people are actually watching it, it feels good. It's good. So I am going to ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment whatever you want. Comment where I played horribly. Comment where you think I played well. Comment if you think the set I brought on my Pokemon was stupid. If you want to see like the pace for my team, let me know. I will put those all in the description. And one thing that I am going to do is in the description, I'm going to start linking all the playlists of my older draft leagues, and I'm also going to keep track of the kill leaders for my team. So I will kind of put my team in the description, and I will be using the previous week's video and kind of putting together all of the knockouts, like who has what knockouts or who has how many knockouts. So like I believe after week 1 Umbreon had I think 3 or something like that. So the week 2 video is going to have how many knockouts Umbreon had from week 1, and then this week's video will have the knockouts from both week 1 and week 2, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's get right into this game. My opponent this week is running a hard Sun team. I've realized the more that I played, I don't play well against the weather teams. I have a really hard time playing around the weather. So this week, I actually brought a very interesting set on my Gligar. Instead of it being the supportive defensive Pokemon that it normally is, I actually brought it as a Choice Scarf attacker because Earthquake just looks really good into my opponent's team. I did bring Mandibuzz for his Hisuian Lilligant, which he actually didn't end up bringing. So Mandibuzz is kind of just dead weight on my team, unfortunately. The only hazard setter, he's got Heat Rain and Torkoal for hazards, but hazards wasn't really something I was worried about because I didn't bring it myself. I didn't even bring Court Change this game. But I do lead off with my Conkeldurr, another new addition to the team. Hopefully I won't have any more team changes. I think I've got my team kind of settled the way that I want it. So to start off, I am just going to go for the Mach Punch on the Greninja, because it won't be able to change its type before I am able to get my attack off, so I'll do super effective damage. But he does swap out into the Doxbun, and unfortunately Doxbun does resist that, so it doesn't do anything, and it has Rocky Helmet, so I think I did more damage to myself. But to be honest, this Doxbun is the biggest pain in the ass this game. I didn't really have much to deal with this outside of Iron Head on my Cinderace. And so here I'm kind of just trying to figure out maybe what my best swap is. I'm trying to come up with something that's going to be able to knock it out and also be able to take hits. I do just decided to go with my striker because if he does go for the play rough, I resist it, and it's not going to really do anything, and I'll be able to immediately threaten it with the Iron Head. He does go for the Wish, which makes total sense. This Pokemon's probably what I would assume is a max defense, max HP, body press, play rough, Wish, protect set. So I do just go for the U-turn, expecting him to probably pivot out, maybe just to heal off some damage on something that would swap in. But he does decide to go for the protect and just to scout out my move and heal his Doxbun back up to full. I do go for U-turn, trying to get some momentum, assuming he'd swap out, but he doesn't. So, and because of my choice band, I'm locked into U-turn, so I just decided to go for it again instead of hard swapping, just in case he decides that he wants to hard swap. I will get the momentum here. And so he decides not to hard swap. I do get the U-turn off, do a little bit of chip damage, probably take just as much damage myself from the Rocky Helmet. And I do decide to go out to my Slowbro here. So my Slowbro this week is fully specially defensive. And I did bring the Iron Defense on it because I figured he had quite a few Pokemon that Slowbro could swap into and just set up the Iron Defense on and be bulky on both the special and the physical side. He does go for the Body Press, which kind of confirms my suspicions that it's going to be a max defense Doxbun with Wish, Protect, Body Press, and probably Play Rough. So Slowbro takes that just fine, even with no defense investment. I know he's going to swap, so I just decide to kind of go for the Iron Defense, see what he wants to swap into. He does go out to the Torkoal. And honestly, since I'm fully special defensive, I almost said a Sunbeam. A Solar Beam from Torkoal is only going to do about... It's going to do under 50% unless it's a crit. I think the max is like 49%. So I'm not really too worried here about taking a Solar Beam. So I'm just going to get off my Iron Defense to make me bulkier. And kind of just see what this Torkoal has to offer. See what it's going to do. I elect not to go for Scald here because since the sun is up, it does reduce the damage of Water-type moves. So I just go for the Psychic. Just to get some damage off, see what he wants to go for. And it does close to 50%. I want to say it's probably about 45. He does go for the Yawn, which is unfortunate. It does force me to switch out. Otherwise, after this turn, I will fall asleep. And so I've got a fully specially defensive Umbreon in the back. I know my Umbreon can take any kind of move it's going to go for. It's not going to have a full HP Eruption, and that's going to be its highest damaging move. So I'm pretty confident that Umbreon's going to be able to take whatever I need it to. And from here, he does hard swap as well. And he hard swaps right out into his Typhlosion. So this Typhlosion is a huge problem because if it's Terra Fire with choice specs and it erupts, I think if it's in the sun, I'm pretty sure it always OHKOs my Umbreon, which is a huge problem. So, and I don't have a swap into this. Like, this sun boosted Eruption is a killer for my team. So I have some priority moves that I brought for this. Unfortunately, Umbreon doesn't have any of those. So here I kind of debate on whether or not I want to just Terra Poison and go for the Toxic, just to get some guaranteed chip on it, or if I want to go for the Foul Play and get some more immediate damage on it. I do elect to go for the Foul Play for the more immediate damage, hoping that he doesn't Terrastalize and he kind of stays the Ghost type, but he does actually just swap out. So that leads me to believe that maybe he's not choice specs, maybe he's not even a choice item. He does go out to the Great Tusk, and Great Tusk does get an attack raise, but because it's a fighting type, it completely resists this. And without leftovers, I'm believing it's probably one of the bulky sets, probably like the max HP, max defense. I know for sure that it's not max speed because it didn't get a speed boost, so it's not max speed Jolly, because that's the only way to get a speed boost. If you are max speed Jolly, I think, with only 4 points of EV investment in your attack for the speed booster Great Tusk. So I do just like to go out to Mandibuzz here. Mandibuzz was my answer to the Hisuian Lilligant, so it does have the Brave Bird. Brave Bird was actually enough with no attack investment to knock out Hisuian Lilligant, but unfortunately this is not Hisuian Lilligant. This is a Great Tusk, and it is much bulkier, and with that bulk up and its defense raise, it's going to be even harder to deal damage to. So here, honestly, the leftovers is really, really annoying, and I need the leftovers to go. So instead of clicking Brave Bird, I'm just going to click Knockoff. I know for sure that I live anything it's going to go for it, barring any crits. It does go for the Ice Spinner, which is going to do a ton of damage to me. So I do just knock off the leftovers, and there goes that on Great Tusk. No more leftovers, so I don't have to worry about him passively regenerating HP. Honestly, my Slowbro is a great answer to this, even with no defense investment, just because it resists close combat, it resists Ice Spinner. The only thing it can hit me with that's going to do a lot of damage is the Headlong Rush. And Headlong Rush, after one bulk up, I don't believe is a two-hit KO, or is a one-hit KO. It's definitely a two-hit KO. So I do just like to go out to Slowbro here. I do have Psychic, so I'm not forced into clicking Scald. Honestly, after I saw the second Ice Spinner, for some reason I was like, oh, it's banded. But I know it's not banded because it literally used bulk up. So here, I'm honestly worried about a Headlong Rush. So I think I honestly just go for the Psychic, where I think the Iron Defense might have been a better idea. Oh, no. I go for Scald here because I want to get a burn. Or I'm fishing for the burn here. And because I thought maybe in the long run the burn would do more, because I don't think Psychic's going to one-hit knock it out, because I have no special attack investment. But in the long run, I think a burn would do more for me. It'd give me more answers to this, and it would have to set up a lot of bulk ups in order to really threaten, to be an immediate threat to a lot of Pokemon on my team. Honestly, now that I think about it, I don't even think it had close combat. It probably had Body Press. If it's a... Yeah, I'm thinking it might be Body Press. Anyway, he does go out to the Greninja. Greninja does take this Scald. Of course, it does no damage because it's in the sun and it's resisted. Sun goes away, and we do not get a burn. Honestly, on this Greninja, because of my investment, unless it's choice specs, I'm going to live everything that it's going to throw at me, even a Dark Pulse. So I don't really bother, kind of swapping out. I'm just going to honestly go for Scald again, go for the burn. He does go for the U-turn, which hits me where I'm weak on the defensive side, and it still doesn't do much. So I know this is a specially invested Greninja. And Scald is going to be at max damage here unless he does swap out to the Torkoal. And if he does swap out to the Torkoal, I get more chip on Torkoal, which is good because I want that sun gone. I don't want him setting up the sun several times throughout the game. And the only way I can make sure of that is if I get rid of that Torkoal. So, and honestly, I don't know if you guys noticed, but his Great Tusk is massive. That Great Tusk, I don't know if it's like as big as it can be or what, but it looks huge. I don't remember Great Tusk being that big. And so, okay, so he does go out to Heatran. I do go for Scald. No burn on Heatran because Heatran is a fire type, so it can't be burned. So we just get some decent chip off on the Heatran, which I'm totally okay with. Honestly, in hindsight, I'm wishing I wouldn't have ran Iron Defense on my Slowbro and instead ran Earthquake again. Because Earthquake would have been very helpful in this match. So I do swap out into my Conkeldurr. My Conkeldurr's got a whole bunch of moves that can threaten this Heatran, and it is a careful-natured max Spadef with Assault Vest, so it doesn't take... It'll take a decent amount of damage from whatever Heatran wants to do, but I know it can take hits. So I just elect to go for the Earthquake here. If Heatran stays in, Heatran is going to get knocked out. If it swaps out into Darkspun, my Earthquake's going to do the most damage and not take any Rocky Helmet chip. But he does elect to go out into the Torkoal. He might have been expecting a fighting move. I'm not too sure. But I do go for the Earthquake, which does a humongous amount of damage to this Torkoal. And then I do go for the Earthquake once more because I outspeed Torkoal, and Earthquake honestly hits anything that could swap in since there's no Lilligant. So he does just let the Torkoal go here, which is really good for me. And I think his swap is just right back out into Darkspun. And now that I've revealed Earthquake, now that I've revealed Earthquake, he kind of has to be careful about the fire types that he sends in. And he does figure out what my item is due to Frisk. So here I can either predict that he's going to Terra into a different type and Quick Mach Punch to lower the damage of his Eruption, or I can go with the safe play and swap into something that I don't find that I necessarily need in this match anymore, or something that I think can take the Eruption better. And honestly, I didn't want to bank on calling the Terra right away, because if I called it wrong, then I just took a bunch of unnecessary damage on my Conkeldurr that I didn't need. So I do choose to swap out right into my Slowbro, because at least Slowbro is going to take a resisted hit from the Eruption. And he does Terra, so Mach Punch was actually the correct play there in hindsight, but I mean, it was also a very risky play, and I didn't feel comfortable risking my Conkeldurr this early, considering it was my best answer to the Heatran. So he does get off the Terra Fire Sun boosted Eruption, and it's an easy 2-hit knockout on my Slowbro. Honestly, I should have calced that damage there, because it would have told me what item the Typhlosion was, but here I'm just assuming that it is choice specs. So now I'm kind of weighing my options if I want to let Slowbro go or not, and I do decide just to let it go. I go for the Slack Off, I believe, just in case he decides to swap, but really there's no reason to swap because he's going to get either a knockout or massive damage. And so he does just go for the Eruption, knocks me out. I did come to the conclusion at this point that Slowbro wasn't really needed anymore. Once again, that was not the correct call. I said at the beginning of the game that Mandibuzz was useless in this game, and Mandibuzz was the swap there. We 100% always swap out to Mandibuzz, sack Mandibuzz, and get in Conkeldurr instead of sacking Slowbro, because I need Slowbro for the Great Tusk, and I totally forgot that Great Tusk was in the game at this point. I don't know how I spaced it, but I did. So we send in Conkeldurr. We just go for the Mach Punch, just to get the damage off, because we want to lower the damage of this Eruption. Predictably, he does swap out to the Darkspun, but I have to go for this Mach Punch because otherwise I just get knocked out by another Eruption from the Typhlosion. So he does swap out. We just hit it with a Mach Punch, and then here I have to decide whether or not I want to swap Conkeldurr out in case of a play rough, or if I think he's going to wish. I do just decide to swap out because Conkeldurr's damage on it isn't going to be very high, and I just go straight out into my Umbreon. Now, he does go for the wish, which it was I was pretty sure it was either going to be that or the what move is it called? The play rough. And I was able to take play rough. He does swap out here and goes to Heatran, and I do decide to Terra Poison, go for the Toxic, and Toxic is 100% hit rate on any Pokemon that is Poison type, so this Toxic will always land, but because he went out to Heatran, which is a Steel type, the Toxic doesn't do anything to it. And I kind of figured the Heatran did have the Earth Power, but since I'm fully specially defensive, the Earth Power honestly did, I think, like 30% to me or something like that. Umbreon took it pretty well, so I wasn't too worried about it. I figured I'd just go for Wish and then try to Baton Pass out the next turn, or Hard Swap. And he does go for the Magma Storm, and it hits. And since Magma Storm traps, I am unable to hard switch out my Umbreon here. So my Umbreon does take residual damage. It's about 50 damage from the Magma Storm. So I decide, okay, I'll just Baton Pass. No big deal. Baton Pass is something on the Earth Power, but he does actually taunt me. And now I'm 100% trapped in with my Umbreon, and the only thing I can click is Foul Play. Amazing prep from my opponent. This is the perfect answer to Terra Poison Umbreon, is this Heatran set. And he does have the Earth Power. So I kind of assumed at this point that it was Earth Power. Let's see. Earth Power, Magma Storm, Taunt, and then the last move is probably either Stealth Rock or Flash Cannon, because Flash Cannon does cover for the Terra Fairy as well. So honestly, terastallizing into the Poison type really hurt me here. I would have been better off just being a pure Dark type, because I wouldn't have taken super effective damage from this Earth Power. And so unfortunately, we're going to lose our Umbreon here because we're not doing nearly enough damage. We're doing probably 12 to 15% of damage, and he's healing back a decent amount of that with his leftovers. So after this turn, my Umbreon is going to be gone. The taunt does wear off right here, which doesn't matter because my Umbreon's slower than the Heatran, so one more Earth Power is going to knock me out. I do just double check to make sure I can't swap out, and I do confirm that I can't. Oh no, I go for Wish, just in case for some reason he wants to swap, and of course he doesn't. Goes straight for the Earth Power and knocks out my Umbreon. Again, amazing prep on my opponent's part. That Heatran set was so good. I couldn't even be mad about that because it was literally the perfect counter to my Umbreon, which otherwise walled his team pretty well. So after that, I do decide to go out to my Gligar, because my Gligar is the fastest thing in the game, as long as it doesn't, the opposing Pokemon don't have a Choice Scarf or a Speed Boost. And I am going to go for the Earthquake because it is a one-hit knockout on the Heatran, and anything that's going to want to swap in doesn't really want to take an Earthquake, because Earthquake is a two-hit knockout on everything on his team except for the Toxtricity. So we're going to go just right out, click Earthquake, because it's honestly, I think, my best move at this point. I could have gone out to Conkeldurr, gone for an Earthquake on Conkeldurr, or Mach Punch or Drain Punch, but I didn't really like the odds of that. And he does go out to the Doxbun, which I did kind of expect. Doxbun's kind of his physical answer to all these ground type moves I'm throwing out. And then here I believe I do decide to go out to Bone Vulture. Yeah, because I want to knock off the Rocky Helmet from this Doxbun to save me for some chip damage later down the line, and maybe even get a Roost or two off just to heal up. So I do go for the Roost. It goes for Play Rough. I live it, so the Doxbun doesn't have any attack investment, and he does take Rocky Helmet chip. Not that it matters, though, because it's just going to heal it off with the Wish that it just used. So I just go for Roost to Roost up, and he gets his Wish. And I am just going to go for Roost one more time. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I go for knockoff here. It goes for Wish again. I go for knockoff. I do end up knocking off the Rocky Helmet that it's holding, which does reduce the amount of chip that I'm going to take later on. And because it wished, if it wants to Play Rough, I know I'm going to live it, and so I just opt to Roost here just to heal me up some more. And yeah, I mean, my opponent makes the good play, swaps out, probably predicting my Roost because it was a pretty predictable move there, and goes right out into his Great Tusk, which honestly I feel pretty confident about being able to do damage to it with the Mandibuzz. I haven't 100% confirmed that the Great Tusk is fully defensive. I had my suspicions, but this turn I am going to kind of figure that out with me clicking Brave Bird. I do check to see if I have really anything better that can handle this Great Tusk, and this is kind of where I realized that sacking my Slowbro earlier on rather than sacking my Mandibuzz was my first mistake in this game. That Slowbro definitely should have been saved, because Slowbro is always the swap in here to Great Tusk to be able to threaten it with Scald, possibly a burn from Scald, or just straight up Psychic. So yeah, I'm looking for my switch-ins. I'm calcing. There are no switch-ins. There is nothing that I can do against this Great Tusk because it just sits here and sets up bulk ups in front of me. The only thing I can do is get as much damage as possible with Brave Bird and hope that I can live anything at +2. At this point, I think from the range that I'm at, I don't live anything +2. Like the Ice Spinner knocks me out. Maybe I think maybe I could barely live it. No, because I took a +1 earlier. I don't remember the calc exactly, but I'm pretty sure +2 just straight up knocks me out. So I'm just trying to get as much chip with my Mandibuzz as possible right now, because I don't really see a use for Mandibuzz at all later on in the game, because it is fully defensive and everything else is kind of a special attacker. So he does go for the Ice Spinner, gets a crit. I really don't think the crit there matters. I'm pretty sure I got knocked out anyway, so that doesn't have too big of an impact on the game. At this point, I'm kind of at a loss because I have nothing that can knock this out and nothing that can take a hit from it. So my best option here is honestly my Gligar, going for the dual Wing Beat and kind of just praying for a crit, or that it just does enough damage to knock it out by some miracle after +2. Because one Ice Spinner from this thing is going to knock me out, so Gligar can't take a hit. And after Gligar's gone, not even a Sucker Punch. After dual Wing Beat and a Sucker Punch, it will not knock out this Great Tusk because it's +2 defense and resisted. So really, Gligar is kind of my last hope here to try and stay in this game at all. So we do elect to go for the dual Wing Beat, hoping for the best. And honestly, I hate playing games hoping for a crit because it feels like a cop-out win, or like just kind of like a way to cheat myself out of the situation. But honestly, that is the only hope that we have, because this Great Tusk is about to run over my entire team. We do go for the dual Wing Beat, and we do get a crit on the very first hit, which is exactly what I needed in order to stay in this game. So that crit 100% definitely mattered, and it did. It kept us in this game. So I mean, that's really unfortunate on my opponent's part, because he definitely had me. He had me beat there, but the crit kind of let me stay in the game. He does go straight out to the Greninja once more. I do opt to swap to my Conkeldurr because I believe I do outspeed Greninja, but I never one-hit knock it out with an Earthquake. It does get 2-hit knocked out, but it doesn't get 1-hit knocked out. So I need to swap out here in order to preserve my Gligar, because my Gligar is my end game. I need it to be healthy. Well, I need it not even healthy. I really just need it to be alive in order to deal with the remaining Pokemon he has, because I know I outspeed Heatran, and I know I outspeed Typhlosion because of my Choice Scarf. So I do swap out here. I go right out into Conkeldurr because I know Conkeldurr can take an ice move if it wants to use it, a water move if it wants to use it. It does go for the Hydro Pump, which does end up missing, and it wouldn't have knocked out my Conkeldurr, but it would have done a crazy amount of chip damage. So that is, I do believe in the grand scheme of things, that miss definitely matters there. I do go for Drain Punch just in case maybe he wants to go for it again. He does swap out into the Darkspun, and because Darkspun no longer has Rocky Helmet, instead of doing more damage to myself, I actually get to heal myself for once. So I kind of figure he's going to go for Wish. I don't really want to let him get off a free Wish. So I kind of got to go into something that's going to threaten it immediately, and the only thing that I really have to threaten it immediately is my Cinderace here. And so, knowing that he's going to Wish and knowing that he has Protect, I kind of have to go for the Iron Head because I'm going to be locked into this move because I am Choice Banded. It does go for Protect, sees that I have Iron Head, and then now they know, okay, I probably shouldn't keep my Darkspun in against this Cinderace. And this is where I think this item on this Cinderace is what costs me this game. Being choice locked into a move on Cinderace in this game is a huge deal because of how many resists that he has to swap in to an Iron Head. The Iron Head kind of had to be hit by surprise. I kind of had to make a prediction to get the Iron Head off since he had Protect, but I didn't, so there's no reason for him to keep his Darkspun in to take this attack, and he should just go straight out to the Heat Ran here. But he doesn't. He does stay in, and I do get the Iron Head off. The reason why I didn't swap there and just clicked Iron Head again is because I wasn't really too worried about Heat Ran coming in, because I could swap in my Conkeldurr into it and immediately threaten it and also take whatever move it's going to want to throw out. But he does actually go for the Body Press, which, because I'm a Steel type, does a ton of damage, but I do live it, which is good enough for me. So I'm going to go for the Iron Head one more time. If he wants to swap in his Heat Ran here, that's fine with me. If he wants to sack his Darkspun, that also works for me. Because like I said, if Heat Ran comes in, I'm just going to swap in Conkeldurr. And honestly, knocking off that Rocky Helmet earlier actually saved Cinderace, because Rocky Helmet definitely would have knocked me out there if I still had it. He does swap to go out. He does opt to go out to his Heat Ran, which I kind of expected after that first hit. And here is where not having Choice Band would have been really helpful, because I do have Low Kick, which is a one-hit knockout on the Heat Ran, even without the Libero boost. So I don't think I really needed the Iron Head. Like, Iron Head was always going to two-hit knock it out even without the Choice Band. I could have gone Expert Belt or something else and still been fine. And I think that Choice Band just kind of shot me in the foot, because now it's forcing me to swap out, whereas I could have clicked Iron Head again, hit the Iron Head on the Heat Ran, and then been able to switch to Low Kick and knock it out before it could do anything to me, because I outspeed it. But that's not the choice that I made, so I do just go back out to my Conkeldurr. He goes for Earth Power, which Conkeldurr doesn't take much from. And from this point, I know I live a Magma Storm. I know I live what's that other move it has? I know I live the Magma Storm. I know I live... Oh, I'm blanking. It just used it. Earth Power. I know I live both, so I'm just going to go for the Drain Punch here, because Drain Punch is going to knock out Darkspun, heal me a little bit. It'll knock out Heat Ran and heal me a little bit. It'll knock out the Greninja and heal me, and it'll also do a decent amount of damage to the Typhlosion, which will also lower the amount of damage it takes from, or the amount of damage that my mons take from the Eruption. So I do just go to click the Drain Punch here, because best case scenario or worst case scenario, I knock out the Toxtricity. Best case scenario, I knock out Heatran and get fully healed. He does reveal his last move, which does end up being Protect. And showing that I was going to quick Drain Punch there, I actually decide not to quick Drain Punch again because now I'm not really confident if Drain Punch will knock out. So I'm just going to go for the Earthquake to guarantee KO this Heatran if it stays in, and then get a bunch of damage off on anything else that wants to switch in. He does decide to go out to Doxbun and sack it here, which is honestly the best play he can make because he doesn't want any chip on the Greninja. Because any chip on Greninja, like an Earthquake from Conkeldurr wouldn't knock out Greninja, but it would put it in range to be knocked out by one Earthquake from Gligar. And so here is where I think I make the second mistake in game. I'm not counting the choice band on my Cinderace because that was a team prep out of game option, but this is where I make another huge mistake in game. I'm worried about Eruption from Typhlosion because it 100% knocks me out from here, but if I hit a Mach Punch, I will live Eruption. So I go for Mach Punch to get the chip, and good play on my opponent's part. He reads that and opts to not go for Eruption, and instead it goes for I believe it's Fire Blast. I believe he does go for Fire Blast on me. And Fire Blast is a risky move to make, but it's the best move to make because it will, once again, barring any crits, it does 2-hit knock me out for sure, whereas Flamethrower, I'm not 100% confident that it did. And he does also risk the burn. Well, he risks the burn with both those moves, but he doesn't get it. I am Guts, which, once again, in hindsight, I was Guts because I was worried about Heatran being Flame Body, but why would Heatran ever want to take a hit from me? That first turn, I should have clicked Earthquake, but I didn't. And then the second turn, I click Earthquake in case the Fire Blast miss. But I should have never clicked Earthquake. I should have always 100% clicked Mach Punch again to get as much guaranteed damage off on this Typhlosion as I possibly could. So I go right out to my Gligar here. I know I live at least one Fire Blast, and I'm confident that I outspeed. He does swap out, which kind of confirms my suspicion that I probably do outspeed it. Goes up to the Heatran, sacks the Heatran to an Earthquake. And so now I'm kind of down to Gligar, who I've preserved until the very end here, and my 15 HP Cinderace. He does go out to the Greninja. This turn, I'm not too sure what I want to do here. I do debate just kind of going out into Striker and just sacking it, but there really is no point because I outspeed Greninja, and like an Earthquake is always gonna 2-hit KO from this range. I can't 1-hit KO it unless I got a crit. So I just kind of have to hope for the Hydro Pump miss, but he actually reveals that he has Water Shuriken. So at this point, I'm like, okay, as long as it doesn't hit me 3 times, I live. And he does get the min roll of 2 and does take the 10% chip from the Life Orb that it has, which I'm not too sure if it put it in range of an Earthquake knocking out without a crit. So I think that crit did actually matter. So once again, crit is keeping me in the game. Does go back out to the Typhlosion, and at this point I'm like, oh sweet, I won. I just got to click Earthquake and it's over. But his Typhlosion is actually Choice Scarf. I never confirmed what choice item it was, but I knew it was a choice item. So with the Choice Scarf, it does go for Flamethrower, which is enough to knock out my Gliscor. And I'm going to go right out into Cinderace here because it's my only option. And because this thing is Choice Scarf, I know for sure that it outspeeds me. So although Low Kick would 100% knock out here, I have to go for the Sucker Punch and hope that I have enough chip on it in order to knock it out. This is literally my only option. I know he's locked into Flamethrower, so I know Sucker Punch is going to hit. There are no mind games to play here. It's just click the move and honestly hope for a favorable roll, or hope that I have enough chip for it to knock out. So we do go for the Sucker Punch, and it leaves it with, I don't even know, maybe 10 HP, which is like that Conkeldurr not clicking the Mach Punch there is what lost me the game. Going for Earthquake was the wrong play. I should have clicked Mach again. If I would have clicked Mach again, I would have won, but I didn't. So great game to my opponent. He had a really tough team to play against, and he played it really well. Honestly, I got really lucky that I stayed in that game as long as I did just because of crits. So hopefully I get to play him again later down the line. I'd really like that. And yeah, good game. I will see all you guys again week 4. See ya.